everybody. So welcome to our second design lecture series. I'm very happy because today we have a young architect. Her name is Margherita Manfra, and she will give a lecture about how to deal with public space. You all guys have public space in a way or another embedded in your projects, so I'm sure it's going to be interesting. But let me introduce Margherita. Margherita is architect and co-founder of Orizzontale. It's an architects collective based in Rome, which work crosses the fields of architecture, urbanism, public art, and do-it-yourself practice. Since 2010, Orizzontale has been promoting projects of common relational spaces, giving form to both dismissed and unseen images of the city. These projects have represented the ground for experimenting new kinds of collaborative interactions between the city dwellers and urban commons, as well as occasions to test boundaries of the architectural creation process. Let's talk about Orizzontale more in particular. Orizzontale experiments new approaches to the city's public spaces. Architectural projects are enriched with interdisciplinarity collaborations and collective actions to bring out the potential of places while engaging local communities. Leaving room for the unexpected doesn't mean neglecting the generative nature of the project. It rather means building places that can react to the movement of their inhabitants, promoting spatial paradigm and open system as a prelude to new forms of urbanity. If you're interested in Orizzontale works, you can go on their internet site and click orizzontale.org. But now let me go straight to the point. So welcome, Margherita. Please come over here. The stage is yours. Take your time. And thanks for accepting our invitation.
Thank you. Thank you, Francesca. It's working, yes. Okay. Good evening, everyone. It's nice to be here. It's a wonderful place. Hope you're enjoying your staying in here. And so, yeah, the presentation is done. So I can start with this open question: how to deal with public space? It's the question we posed to ourselves when we were students in 2010, when we started doing some experiments in public space. It was the field that we lived as inhabitants, and we decided to work on it as professionals. And as you can see, Rome has a long tradition in public spaces, but nowadays is going to a sort of crisis due to governance or city, I don't know, living habits, maybe, a lot of problems. But so we try to find new tools and new models of intervention to transform and to relate to public spaces. This is us. As I told you, we were students when we met. We were back from experience abroad in Europe and worldwide. And as you are doing exactly here. And so we started doing some hands-on experiments. I think you have some experience like this. So building stuff and trying to shape some experiments together with the people who live the city to question and so to transform together the public space. First of all, we noticed that the cities produce some wastes that can be reactivated, so reassembled in different shapes, in different form. First of all, the underused spaces, together with discarded materials, scraps, and collective habits, so tradition or rituals or habits that has been forgotten or abandoned. So reassembling this kind of wastes, we found a way to reactivate some spaces together with their communities. After some years, we were invited to participate to a research from Giampiero Venturini of Itinerant Office, and the question of this research was which is the role of the architect in contemporary society? So I'll try to read it, it's easier. The architect is in our days something like a water dozer. She or he must succeed in finding resources and energy flows buried deep down in the ground, invisible from above. The more the relational surface in our societies become dry and barren, the more the architect's job is to foresee and detect the presence of subterranean streams and locate suitable spots to let them emerge. The work of the architect under this condition can be frustrating and tiring, but he must not despair. The task of finding water in the desert is arduous as it is rewarding. The outcome won't be just an ordinary well, but a flourishing oasis. So this is the framework in which we are moving ourselves since then. And again, the open question is how to deal with public space. It's totally open. It's open to you, it's open to us. And we posed it also for the last Biennale that is running now in Venice. It's curated by Leslie Locco. And the title is The Laboratory of the Future. We are inside the section which is called Dangerous Liaison. And our proposal is called Sexy Assemblage. Sexy Assemblage, or the danger and seduction in juxtaposing differences that may clash. So the point what is, how can we assemble all of this stuff, all of these spaces and times and gestures and habits to recompose them in a collective way, to live, to make the public space livable again? This is the space we propose. So it's an open space that, again, assembled some open devices to create some gathering situation, formal and informal, for the Biennale of 2023. There is also a map, so it's a visual landscape that collects some of our project in an imaginary city, so proposing some ways to approach, again, to deal with public space. Today I want to treat the theme through this matter. I think time is a material of the project, as well as space, as body, as materials in general. And I propose you 3 times, so to divide the times of the project in 3 parts. The first one are temporary architecture, so projects that are developed here and now with an urgency, with something that can be just pop up in some moment. The second is our incremental project, as are today are called tactical urbanism project. So it's a tactic, so it's something that happens in between and can lead to something forward. And the third one are large-scale urban intervention, so classic public project, and we are searching for new ways to approach them. Okay, the first time, so here now, can be embodied by relational device to occupy and reclaim vacant lot or abandoned spaces, to inhabit the meantime, so the time in between for long-term transformation. And the third is ephemeral structure for public programs, so to reuse some spaces of the city to public program to test their function or their possibility to be something else. The last one I can present you as an example. The Time One project is called Simul Singulis and was developed in Cologne in Germany in 2019 for City Leaks Festival. Here we are is Ehrenfeld district in Cologne, and these are some arches that are underneath the urban railway. They were abandoned since decades, maybe never been used. And the street Uttenstrasse that you are seeing right here has super narrow sidewalk, so public space is almost absent. And the festival decided to reactivate these arches to enlarge these spaces for people. We went there first for, I don't know, a few weeks to make a residency, research. And so we start assembling things from the neighborhood, memories, materials, and trying to reshape them to put out something different. Together we went to the Cologne Museum. It's one of the best museums ever. If you come to Cologne, please go there, made by Peter Zumthor. And we found an artwork called Simul et Singulis. That means it's an expression from the Comédie Française. It means something, be together and be oneself. So the part that can be composed to one. And it seems to us that was exactly the idea for these arches. So different aims, different teams to have a new public space. So we started to build together with volunteers, with students of the university, with inhabitants. We start from the flooring, a lot of flooring. And we had to inhabit three of these arches. The first one, this one was the plaza, and we built a kiosk. Kiosk is a typical structure for Germany, but also in Italy. And the two braces, the two parts, were an info point and the kiosk properly. Behind there was a publishing studio. The second one was the theater space. So this kind of crane in the form of the arch, it was moving on wheels. So you can decide how to adjust it to the stage. And there were bleachers on this side of the arch and also on the other side of the street. So it was double-faced stage. For the festival, the street was closed to traffic, so it became a proper public space together with these facilities and all the people that went there. It gave this idea of possibility, so something has been transformed for a moment, but it's possible to imagine that can be developed in the future. So a little summary of the phases. Here, the space is totally fenced. When we started, there was this container. It was the office where we developed our research. Then we started building all of this stuff, and then it popped up all the people for inhabiting the situation. That was the final result for the festival. As I told you, the kiosk, info point and kiosk. Behind the publishing studio, the theater in one of the moments of the event of the festival, and the theater at night. Maybe it was after a DJ set or after an event. So the imagination is totally free of being evolved in some way. Oops, sorry. I present you as time one, but I have to tell you that I've been in Cologne last year, and the structure, surprisingly, are still there, fenced again, but totally perfectly conserved. So who knows, that maybe can be a second time, so a second experience that can be another experience of time two. Okay, going to time two, we have to, as I told you, these are incremental processes. So processes that start, again, from a temporary experience, but can look to something more in the future. They can be observatory to test long-term urban transformation. This is a project that we are running again. I don't know, I think it's 10 years we're working on this space. It's in Roma, near Terpignattara. If you pass by, maybe you'll find us. Building trust and collaboration. So re-inhabiting or habiting again some spaces to create new communities and new situation to inhabit the places, and experiment spaces to grow together. The last one, this one, is a project called Civico Civico. We have done it in Riesi. Riesi is in Sicily between 2020 and 2021 during the Lourdes Human Laboratory of Territorial Regeneration, I think, something like this. It's tricky. And Riesi is a super small town in the middle of Sicily, so nothing happens there. It's an inland town and it suffers of depopulation and marginalization, as well as other inland situation in our country. One of the characteristic of this place is this Villaggio Monte degli Ulivi. It's a wonderful place that was founded by Tullio Vinai. It's a Valdesian pastor, together with the architect Leonardo Ricci in the 60s, and was a place that brought there education and social services, together with the idea of an inclusive architecture. So the building site was totally open to women, The builders used to live there, to eat together, to stay there together. So it was totally in line. So we feel it something similar to us. We were invited there to work on this building. It was a building seized by mafia and abandoned since 10 years. And we had to renovate it through a collaborative workshop. So we started the first year with the ground floor, and then the second year we climbed up to the first floor. That's the first result. Together with the municipality, we decided not to finish the intervention inside the building, but to go outside. We so decided to pedestrianize this street, and we painted it in blue. Now everybody knows it as the Blue Street. And so we draw there this kind of abstract playground that climbs up to the wall from the ground. And the project, yeah, here are some details. The project is called Civico Civico, that in Sicilian dialect, doubling the words reinforce the concept. Civico is the street number. So we open up a second door from a window, so we double the Civico, to let the people enter, the light enter. So it was a building that has a dust in memory and in the feeling of the people. So the idea was just to open up and to let people enter. As you see, there are two entrances, and here you can have a small tour. Inside is small, but yeah, we try to make it open for the activities of the Servizio Cristiano and the young that are living there. Here is the former garage. Now is an open space. Again, the flooring and these bleachers. So it's a space where every kind of activities can be hosted. Inside, you can see the traces of the demolished walls. We decided to leave the sign, so not to renovate it totally. So the memory has to be conserved, but the space has to be totally renovated. And on the right, you can see some of the furniture. It's the kitchen. It's totally a simple element that can be covered and used as a table. So totally flexible furniture, and the space that is adaptable and flexible for every kind of activities. Here is the first day of the open street. We were during the pandemic, so it wasn't easy, but we get there. The space began a space of playing, a space of encounter, a space of meeting, and is still there for the guys of the city. So young and children have this place for meet, and also to be educated, to be together. So it's a new way of being together, not just the box, but also the inner life. Again, a little summary of the process. It's always an open process because it hasn't finished. We had to make also the third floor, but there were no money anymore. But now the municipality has won a funding from Europe, so they're gonna, and maybe we're gonna work with them to renovate it totally and definitely. And that's a good news. So we started from opening the door, as you can see, and entering and making this building site spread all over the streets around. Then we painted in blue. There are some devices, mobile devices, to stop the traffic and to enjoy the situation. And then the second floor in 2021. Here is the second floor once finished. Also the furniture were designed and built with the craftsmen of Riesi. So not only students, not only international architect, but also people from there. It was this melting pot is super important because building together lead to really a crossing of situation. And these are the inhabitants of the Civico Civico right now. And hopefully it will be also the other generation will live in there. Time 3. Time 3 is a public project in general. This is solid infrastructure as social incubator. So for us, the experience has been made mostly in mid-size, in expanding city, that's Utrecht. So because there is a lot of space, that the transformation are going fast, so it's easier to take some occasion to make these experiments. The time tree again can be new models of public works. So permanent transformation are part of our work, of our job, but new approaches are needed to make this transformation more effective. Otherwise, the time of long-term transformation can be adjusted to the living of the city. And so we try to experiment it in Aprilia. The project is called Prossima Apertura. Prossima Apertura means next opening, so it's an advertising language. It's made for letting people get curious about what's happening. So doing some engagement, but in a weird way, no? So people can be part in a way and be interested in it. We started from a competition. Maybe we can. This is the place. The place is a social housing district in Aprilia. Aprilia is a small, not so small, mid-town. It's the city 50 kilometers south of Rome. And we started working there because of a competition. We present a project together with a multidisciplinary team because our idea, this is the site. The site should be the square of the district, but in the end was never built. And so the citizens started to call it La Buca di Toscanini, so the pit of Toscanini. Toscanini is the name of the neighborhood. So representing this distance, this absence of the space. It's a huge space, it's almost an hectare of surface, and it was the big lack of social life in this neighborhood. As I was telling, we presented the project as a multidisciplinary team together with psychologists, with artists, with expert of communication, because our statement was that it's not possible to fulfill just an empty space, but we have to build the condition in which people can live exactly this as the square, so the place where they meet and live their life. In the end, that's the final result. It's not the formal things, but the process that lead to this that I want to present you. The idea was to have a minimum intervention because the money weren't so much. It's 1 million for 1 hectare, so not that much. And we decided to use it like a gradient. So the first part here is a public square, so an urban square totally designed with this flooring that combines different flooring, different colors to organize the activities, and this metal structure that offers some activities for all the generations, so sports, so leisure, so relax, so encounter, and it's the meeting point for the generation and for the citizen. Then the slope, because it was a pit, so ramps and stairs and slides to climb up and to make totally accessible for all the space. And the bottom part is the big arena, so it's an empty space, more or less, to organize event, like open air cinema in summer, like the market, like everything can be proposed by the administration and by the citizen. And as you can see, there are some permanent stuff with temporary devices that we built during the building site with the citizen. So the real innovation of the project are these kind of actions. We call them integrated activities that we develop together with the building site. Starting from the communication, so people has to be informed of the transformation to let them participate. The fence of the building site became this big loading, so telling how the work was going, and also marking the meeting, the events that we developed together. The banner there, where it's written Prossima Apertura, is a kind of neighborhood calendar. So it has dates or meeting for everybody who want to meet, who want to join. And yeah, after information and communication. We started the meeting and knowing the people of the place, telling them which was our project, our program, and asking them who were them, what do they do in the city, what do they want to do. So participation is not just asking, what do you want me to design? Not at all, but knowing each other to find, to traduce this community in a space that can represent them. Then we organize the site visit so people can see directly what was happening. They're really interested in this, and I think it's also a didactic and formative experience. And we started with the workshops. The workshops, the first were organized on the balcony. Maybe you saw the building around the square as a big public balcony. And so since the building site was occupying all the square, we were there seeing what was happening and doing these first activities. The first one was this mural or public work, I don't know, public artwork with the kids and the people of the neighborhood. Then the photographer tried to anticipate the role of the square, so to gather people, making this kind of group picture that were used for an exhibition. And then, as I was telling you, while the building site was going on the side, the bottom part was open, and we use it for building workshop. So we were working together, the company there, and we with the inhabitants in here, building this light structure that are another level of imagination. So the permanent situation will be there forever, but these are kind of suggestion to new possibilities, new activities, new uses. There were these topics we decided, so green spaces and conviviality and open air activities. So we developed several workshops, and there were just the occasion to gather people and be together there. So it's trying to have the habit, or trying to make this new habit to be together in the square. Again, COVID, so during the pandemic, was impossible to do anything. But in the end, I think this program was really something that enriched our path. Otherwise, I don't know really how we have done it, but how would we have done it without it? And that's the situation right now. The upper part is crowded with calisthenics activities and playing children. The bottom part is used for activities for big events. And in the end, you can see the neighbor in the wall. The square is not there. The square there is not on the map yet, but I think it's now. And the good news is that we have another assignment from the municipality, same model, same idea, with the founding of the PNRR. And it's about all the public areas of the neighborhood, so roads and open air spaces. And the point is that we decided to use some strategies. These are just an example. For example, for the traffic, for the road, for the traffic situation, we are modifying some road to insert some bike lane, to make the sidewalk bigger, so to reduce the traffic and give more space to the bicycle and to the pedestrian. And the core of this project is the pedestrianization, of the street. Is that one on the right up there is Via Irlanda, is an enormous street, almost empty. And the idea is to reconnect these two parts of the park and to make this big linear park to have some other activities, mostly for the teenagers that are an age that is difficult to engage in this place. This is the final design. We finished a few months ago. The building site will start in 2024. And as you can see, the principles are to, it's again it's a kind of gradient that goes to the first part that is more simple, so like a promenade, walkable space and sitting. In the middle start to have some activities like tables, ping pongs, playing spaces, etc. And in the top part is the most urban, so where the activities like the skateboard, the basketball courtyard, so for the youngster, and because it's the part that is more far from the houses. And the other point, so it's the idea is to make this space a proper public space. On the other hand, we are looking a lot to the quality of the environment. So we will remove totally the asphalt, the paving the whole street, replacing it with draining flooring, ecologic flooring. There will be a water collecting system. So a lot of this kind, and increase a lot the vegetation. On the other hand, so the activities for all the generation, and hopefully this will lead to better quality of life in general. So that's the main idea. So in 2024, the building site will be open. I don't know if you will be here yet. No, maybe not. So instead, you are invited, all of us, to participate, because the process that we are proposing is the same of the other project. So not just the space, but the space together with the people. That's more or less the idea. And so, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Margherita.
Question? Open question?
First of all, it was a great presentation,
Thank you.
especially I think the last project about the public space, the public street. I think it could be very useful for a number of the projects that you're doing. I remember in the midterm, many of you were speaking about pedestrian streets and urban alleys. So great, I think it was very useful. But before I ask the students for question, I have my own question. And the question is, what is the reason why your studio is called Orizzontale, which means horizontal? I'm very curious.
I want your answer. I think it's possible. There is not one answer, just one. So, what do you think? Try.
Sorry, wait a moment. Repeat here because otherwise it's impossible.
I was saying because it's an Italian firm, they probably want the name to fit where the firm came from. So the name is Italian and not English. Orizzontale and not.
Yes, but not just the term, but the meaning of the term.
Is it close to the
Yeah,
meaning?
it can be.
Kind, quite close. Let's see.
I'm open to new interpretation too.
I assume it's like a term of hierarchy, and there's no top to bottom. It's a horizontal approach.
Yeah, that's for sure. One of the meaning, that's for sure.
Is it the right one or is close?
No, there is no right one. No right one.
So is there anybody else willing to try? Okay, and I tell you one more thing. The name is Orizzontale with the first letter, which is small, not capital. It's very horizontal. So Margherita, maybe you better explain us yourself.
But we have a lot of different, I think, interpretation also in the office, because it's an open word. It's an open, and it means that there is no hierarchy, but it's also the public space we're working on. So it's kind of open meaning. No, nothing more.
Great. Yes.
And strangers cannot write down Orizzontale. From Germany to maybe America, I don't know. It's always Orizzontale.
Orizzontale.
H-R-R, one Z.
Okay, free for interpretation. All right, guys, do you have any question for Margherita? Also, if you're curious about what it means to work as such a young architect in Italy, I mean, you can make questions which are also just not really architectural, but that relates to the life of an architect here, money, whatever you want. I think I could see, yes, a raised hand.
Um, so in some of your urban designs, how do you determine what would be best temporary and what would be best like solid or that would stay, I guess?
Temporary allows us to make experiment. So we try to determine what can be the best. But if it's not, can be dismantled or modified. That's the powerful, where we started, I think it was one of the things that we love the most. We can try without making big errors, no? It's a big stimulation to the public.
Is there any other question? Yes, let me come close. You're very active today, guys. What a satisfaction.
So it's kind of playing off of Mason's question, which is as a city develops, things might change around a certain area. And so when you design for a site at one time, how do you imagine that site being reused or adapted into the future? So yeah, that's the
Good question, but really
It's a
gets to the
hard
point.
question, yes.
Because yeah, it's again, we don't have a formula, but the idea is to create these open systems. So the project can be manipulated and adapted, the most it's possible to go to face the future, no? For example, the square I show you, the bottom part, the big arena, is a matter of money, yes, because we had no money to make it perfect and finished, but it's also an idea of maybe possibility to complete it. I didn't tell you, but the flooring is made by concrete big tiles, so they permit the draining of water, but it's also possible to remove them. So if in the future the competition at the very beginning asked for a function for the square, we didn't want to give an answer because we weren't from there, we didn't know the places and the people. So the idea was just to open up a space for the people. But maybe tomorrow, now we are doing the street, but another architect, another situation needs to build their sport field or whatever, can remove some tiles and add and modify. So the idea is that the project is always usable and totally accessible, but not finished. So it's not the form that is conclusive. That's the idea.
Okay, yes. So it's maybe the key word is incremental by definition.
Yeah.
But I also have another question for you. Sorry, Margherita, I'm curious. Your clients are always public clients or not? Because you spoke about the municipality, and then you spoke about the national funds that are now available in Italy. And so what is the point?
Yes, we are getting there because it should be like this, but it doesn't be like this from the beginning. So when we started in Italy, there weren't a lot of funding for this kind of project. So we used a lot of cultural funding, so things from museum, foundation, festival, and whatsoever. Now things are changing. So with these last 3-5 years, there is an increasing in the interest also by public administration. We have developed more expertise in these, and so yes, we are starting working a lot with public.
Is there any other question, guys? Oh, yes, please. Let me come to this point. I'm sorry, you need the microphone.
Throughout like all of your like time working, because you're from a country that is so old and has such rich history, do you find it hard as an architect to explore and experiment with like modern things and like modern ideas and concepts whenever you're in a place that is so tied and wanting to stay traditional and just staying tied to their history?
Good question. I think we have the habit, so it's not like it's for you. For you, it's maybe it's overwhelming, this situation. We grew up in here, so it's something that is inside our experience. We make the opposite movement, not to go outside in Europe mostly, to grasp some new approaches. We didn't invent our profession. We just have some experience abroad that were already existing from decades in Germany, in France, in mostly in Europe, in Spain. And we readapt it to our generation and our context. So I think we took the best from here and also the worst, that things are not working anymore. And so try to renovate it with the sense of tradition, but without this kind of overwhelming impossibility to move, no? I think we are suffering more the habits that the physical space. The physical space is something that gives us ideas and inspiration. The way how it's governed and the way how we are acting in society right now in Italy maybe is the part we are suffering the most.
Right,
I don't know
great.
if the answer was exactly an answer, but
I think you answered the question. I think she was also trying to make the point about how hard it is to design in a country which is old, as you said. It's an old country, you're right. And how to manage the sense of contemporaneity in your design choices in relationship to old context. This is so hard to answer this question, but she made the point. All right, any other question? Okay, so I strongly invite you to go on their internet site again, orizzontale.org, because Margherita made a selection of the projects she thought were interesting for you today, but there's many more. And I'm sure you can find a lot of other inspirations.
Instagram and social are more up to date.
Okay, then go on the Instagram and follow them. I tell you that because I checked the internet site a few days ago and I was like, ooh, that's interesting, that's interesting. So have a look. All right, so Margherita, thanks a lot. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
And thanks, guys. I tell you that there will be 2 more lectures, the last 2, December 5 and December 7. You will be very busy with your final projects. We know, we are aware of that, but come have a look because the lecturer will be very interesting. We will make our best to let the news about the lectures circulate in advance so that you can get organized and spend an hour to follow the lectures. All right, so thanks again and see you next time.